3. Take it away, Mr. Lightfoot.
So good morning, everyone. Oh, you're good. You're good. So the mayor will be here momentarily, so we can go ahead and get started. So today, I just wanted to bring you all in for a quick capital improvement workshop to discuss open projects that we have, projects that are designed and unfunded, some projects that we had submitted for funding that did not get approved, as well as to talk about the ULDC. You all had talked about starting the budget earlier this year for fiscal year 27, so we proposed to have a workshop in February to begin budget and goals discussions. But this workshop today is to kind of get you thinking of what's coming, as well as see what's out there and what we have to work on. There is a working list, as you see in front of you today, that we'll go over. There are some things on the agenda that we've talked about before that are not listed, and some things on the agenda that you've probably never heard of. So stop us at any time. We'll talk about it. We've got staff here to talk about their respective areas if needed. And then we have the plans and cost estimates out there for each of these projects that are designed. And you do have cost estimates in front of you for each of those projects that are out there today. So we'll just go right down the list. Like I said, stop me at all if you have any questions or want to discuss further. But the first thing is the wastewater treatment facility. Probably should have saved the biggest one for last, but we put that one right at number one. So we have our Raftellus task orders that we've been working with the county on to bring for the rate studies. There's going to be 3 different scenarios. Ms. Myers has been working with the county's attorney to work out the agreements, and we hope to have those on the next agenda. We talked about that the other night. That is to go get our rate studies completed. It will take about 3 to 6 months to get all of that work done, and then to present to both commissions, the city and the county commission, to decide what is the best route for the wastewater plant. Yes, sir.
Well, 3 to 6 months is past this year's legislative session, so we have to be working to get help there, appropriation and stuff too as well, right?
Yes, sir. So we have submitted legislative appropriations. I'll talk about each one that we submitted. Of course, we submitted last year for the rate studies. We did not get that, so we budgeted for it this year. There's $75,000 in the water budget and $75,000 in the sewer budget to cover this, which the number should fall well under that.
Okay, but the entire project and all to get, this is a big deal. Like everything works out and we're decommissioning the plant and stuff like that. I mean, are we we're not talking about that now. We're going to wait and.
Yes, sir. We are still a ways away from whichever route we decide to go with that.
But our lobbyists are well aware of what our main goal is and everything. So
we also we were on the list this year for SRF funding for $13 million to construct the headworks and the IPS. Wanted to discuss that a little bit today. We do plan on bringing you a resolution to approve the loan application for that project at the next commission meeting. That does not mean we're signing on the line and getting $13 million and we'll be on the hook for it, but that gets us moving to the next step so that we can do that if we decide to build the headworks and the IPS prior to moving the plant or prior to expanding this plant. So the next meeting, you will see a resolution to approve the loan application for $13 million for the headworks and the IPS. Yes, sir.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but SRF loans are usually interest-free or really low interest rate, right?
The lowest interest you will get. You will not get an interest like SRF through a bond or anything else.
You have an idea what this one will be?
I do not offhand, no, sir.
Okay.
Yes, the SRF loans typically run 1.5, 1.6%.
Anything else on the wastewater treatment plants?
No, other than what's the difference between an SRF loan and just like a typical the other type of loans we have?
We'll defer to Ms. Roman, who can speak on finances.
Well, the application process is a little different. The application goes through the state rather than going through a bank. That's a little different. Obviously, the rate is more advantageous. There's no real pre-qualifying. They know that we're a municipality. We just have to demonstrate the ability to make the loan payments. They ask questions about our utility rates and what our capital projects are. The engineer will have to get involved in the loan application. I've done a preliminary run at it. I've entered some numbers. We've reached out to the bond lawyer. They have to submit an attestation saying that, yes, the city would be able to repay the loan.
We have a ballpark of how long the loan will be for?
12 years, 15 years?
It was either a 15 or 20-year term, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Just to be sure, just to get my head around the whole thing. We're putting in an SRF loan to do a headworks project on a sewer plant that we intend to eventually decommission if we get to the bigger thing, the bigger game to play here, or the
Yes,
bigger,
so the headworks and the influent pump
they
station.
have to be done.
The influent pump station will be there regardless if that plan is there or not.
Right.
Because you will have to have something to pump sewer up to the North Bay wastewater treatment.
So there'll always be some hardware in that won't all the way go away at
Right.
any time.
But instead of having, if we go to
But
the.
we won't
the
have
north-
rejection ponds or anything like that.
That's
there.
correct.
Okay. So we're looking at taking a swing at this to hopefully to get things right, and then we're also looking at the situation for a rate study to do what we're trying to do with the county in the future to take over a larger retail area, and the actual sewer plant would be up at Edwards Road, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now that puts us in a very unique situation for appropriation and stuff. I mean, you would think that our this is futuristic stuff, but it's not that far in the future. So the reason I asked about our lobbyists is that when you push for those kind of goals with the state and the environmental protection people and whatnot, they should be happy to know that you have two plants, you're decommissioning one and you're putting more work on the other one. You're getting basically you're getting a sewer plant off the water's edge. And we've talked about this before, but I just wanted to recap it in the workshop.
Yes,
So
sir. And I feel that,
the
yes, we will likely get appropriation money throughout the process, the next 5 to 7 years of this entire process. But I do feel that resiliency money is a better avenue for us.
Sure.
There are plenty of grant funding opportunities that I feel that this project would be a much better fit in. Again, you're eliminating a wastewater plant and creating something right off of the water that would be much better than what's there now.
So even if we do the headworks, it's going to be there for quite a few years before the next, if we do go up to the county.
Yeah. The whole thing is we're talking about apples and oranges, but it's one goal in mind to do that. But right now, the headworks project has got to be done, right?
Realistically, if we started a design on a force main to the North Bay plant, if they started the design on expanding the North Bay plant, bidding it out and construction, you're looking at every bit of 60 months easily before that happens.
So I won't even be on the commission when it gets completed.
Another year or two.
You will be termed out, sir, yes.
Yeah, 5. You're talking about. I was thinking 5 years probably before it comes.
It is something that very likely this commission will start and you will not see finished as a commissioner.
The other question I had was, I know we talked a little bit about this before, but reclaimed water, with that moving there, we will no longer have reclaimed water for Lynn.
Yes, sir, we would do away with our reclaimed water. We would no longer have reuse available for the city of Lynn Haven. We would still utilize our ground storage tank we have reused water in now. However, we would likely put potable water wells there, fill that tank up with potable water, and then disperse it out. So the 1,000 residents or so that have reused water and pay the $25 per month would then have an irrigation meter.
So we still will have some, well, it's not really reclaimed water, it's potable water.
Right.
We already do that, potable water? or just all reclaimed water,
We have about 1,000 residents that get irrigation through reclaimed water.
not potable water?
We have residents that get irrigation through potable as well. I'm saying that we will have to compensate for those residents. We're taking off the.
So there's going to be a lot of residents just going to have to like you're saying, have to have their own irrigation meter and use the city water to
Yes, sir.
irrigate their lawns and that.
Aren't we going to, I mean, the county, is reclaimed water going away environmentally, or I mean, I know they're doing they're doing deep well injections now.
No, so if we keep this wastewater plant here and expand the current plant, we do have to still build the reuse system out at Mill Bayou that we bid out a few years ago that was well over budget. So we will still have to do additional reuse expansion to compensate for that. Anything else on the sewer plant?
I think the big thing is when the study comes back, I'm sure we'll have a lot more questions, but
Yes, sir. And like I said, we will be bringing that resolution for to approve the submittal of the SRF application at the next meeting.
And the study is for the scenario of the larger retail area, correct?
Yes, sir. There's 3 different task orders as part of that agreement. One is task order 1 to expand the current wastewater treatment plant and what the rates would be for residents then. Option 2 is to expand the North Bay wastewater treatment plant and eliminate the cities and become a wholesale customer of Bay County and adopt their retail area.
Now, does that just include the operating, like in a vacuum, closing a plant, open a plant, or does that include the project to do the, when you factor in the money?
It will include the cost of the project.
Okay.
Anything else on that one? Oh, moving on to our sewer capital improvement projects. So you have a book in front of you labeled Lift Station and Force Main Hydraulic Analysis. That is the complete model update that was done in May of 2025 of our sewer system. So there's a tab, page 25 before Appendix A starts. There's a list there of about $6 million of probable costs for recommended improvements. I believe 2 commission meetings ago, you all approved the task order for the force main improvements. That covers the design of a lot of these projects listed here. However, it does not cover the construction cost. We also have some lift station improvements that are in the budget this year, lift station 6, 47, and 11. We are working on the SCADA that you all approved last year. That's a major lift station improvement. We were probably the only municipality in the Panhandle that I know of that didn't have SCADA. They've probably about 30% complete with that. They've been making some good progress and getting that done. We'll get the design done this fiscal year and then possibly look at some construction money in mid-year. And then if not, look at it again fiscal year 27. Any questions on the sewer? You also have in front of you a spreadsheet, 11 by 17. It's broke out by different categories. So your first one there you'll see is water. Then you have tasks listed out, 1 through 31. Then you have the wastewater section, tasks 1 through 20, including the wastewater treatment plant expansion, the different scenarios. You've got about $117 million worth of capital improvement projects just in sewer alone. That, like I said, that does include expanding the wastewater treatment plant as it sits today. And you'll see line item 4 there, about $2.3 million in lift station, a failure imminent improvements. Those are ones that we are starting this fiscal year and continue working on those throughout the next several years.
In the funding source, what does franchise mean?
What we take in for monthly fees for sewer, impact fees, et cetera.
What's 19 for? 7 and 231.
Line item 19, the State Road 390, 77 to 231 utility relocates. That's when they, 6-lane 390 for the last phase from 77 to 231. We will have utility relocates just like we had on this side. Looking at about $10 million there.
I'm wondering if we can get some appropriations or something for that, because, you know, my opinion on that, it's not our project, but yet we still got to pay for it.
It will definitely be stuff that we work with our lobbyists as well as our state representatives to see if there's any funding available for that. Near the wastewater section, line item 19.
The cured in place pipe, that was paid by grant though, wasn't it?
So I believe in the past, Bobby, they started that in 2015, but they did a lot of that through SRF money. There was some cured in place pipe. I think they did get some appropriations or some grants for, but a lot of that was all the SRF projects they started like in 2015 or 2016.
Okay. So it's more than that one we got grant.
Yes, so we are working on the West 10th Street CDBG project. There is a lot of sewer CIPP on that project as well.
What's number 10, surface water elimination completed by 2032?
That's if we expand the wastewater plant and having to increase our reuse capacity.
Oh, okay.
Then moving on to the water capital improvements, you have the same thing in front of you. You have a book labeled Potable Water System Hydraulic Model Overview. That was completed at the end of September 2024 last year. If you look on page or section 6 there in each of your books under the tab, do you not have tabs? Sorry. Go to the very back and it's also the same projects are in the same spreadsheet you were just looking at. The 11 by 17 sheet. Task items 1 through 31 there, the front page is all of our water. We do have some of those projects that are being completed as part of the 10th Street as well, a couple of the tie-ins. It's in your book, and I'll mark them all for you before you leave today. Task 2.1 and 2.4, they are being completed as part of the 10th Street CDBG project. And then we have a few other projects that were being done. The Bradley and Bradford water main, those bids are due next week. We did already complete the Well 3 raw main water improvements last fiscal year. And then we submitted for a legislative appropriation for $1 million. I'm sorry, for a $500,000 appropriation with a $500,000 match to do some of these other water projects. I will say, and since 2015, and Bobby can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's when they started, the city of Lynn Haven did probably most of the infrastructure upgrades throughout the county as far as getting rid of old water lines, lining sewer, and paving roads. So we are ahead of the game as far as water and sewer infrastructure in the ground versus other municipalities. Anything on the water side?
So
If-
when you say water projects, there's obviously the water lines to get water to people for use. Is that the only type of projects that fall under water?
For the drinking water, yes, sir. So we do have two water plants that we will have to do work at over the years as we grow, expand those plants for capacity, or just upgrade the pumps and SCADA and the tanks there. But most of those projects are for the distribution system of the water. And if you look online, just under 31, we're at just over $32 million in drinking water improvements over the next 10 years. So drinking water is definitely not as bad as the sewer.
The Bradford Bradley water system improvements. Bel Air neighborhood. When you go to the like behind Mowat School, like they back up to each other. Bel Air and Mowat
Yes, sir.
Middle School. You look back toward 390. There's like a I mean, just being ignorant, but we have like a water tower back there.
Yes, sir. That's water plant number 2. It's at the end of
water plant-
Greenbrier.
Yeah.
It's basically behind Mowat Middle School's field out there.
Yeah. Now is this Bradford Bradley water system have anything to do with that, or the Bel Air
So
water main?
it is on the water plant 2's distribution system. However, the Bradford is to replace the water main down that road and the water services. We could pull a work order history, but we've probably got $40,000 worth of brass in the ground over the past few years of just having to go replace our fixed water leaks there and use brass parts and couplings there to fix the services. So we're installing a new water main and new services for each. And the other one I meant was Bell Circle, and that is for fire improvement, and it's based in your water system hydraulic model overview, where you can see where we have reduced fire protection in the Bel Air estates. This
Right.
Bell Circle water main that's due next week, it's about an 80-foot water main extension, and that will loop the two systems to increase
what
the fire flow.
That was
Yes.
my next question. Is there any
I
way?
believe the fire flow was around 600 or 700 gallons a minute in Bel Air there. Once we do this, it will increase it to over 1,000 gallons a minute. Anything else on the water system? Let's talk about our fun topic of stormwater. The line item 1 there is unfunded HMGP projects. So we've got 4 HMGP projects of the 6 that did not make phase 2 construction. Due to FEMA guidelines, they have to have a 1.0 benefit to cost analysis ratio. Some of these had a 0.2. I think the highest was a 0.6. But discussion for today, we've been telling the residents of these areas, hey, we've got an HMGP stormwater project to fix flooding in your area. However, they didn't get funded. There's been a lot of talk of, the stormwater assessment will sunset one day. It's going to sunset. We've got several $1 million of projects that we've got to do. How are we going to do them? We will be submitting on grants as they become available, but these will be hard to grant fund for what they are. So there is a cost estimates, like I said, for each of these projects. If you look at Acme Lane, that construction cost estimate is $220,000. Dundee is around $700,000, and then 11th Street is $1.8 million. And those are in the spreadsheet as well and under stormwater, but also if you look at this package right here, Commissioner.
What 11th Street? Like where 11th Street? Like which side of 77?
What was that?
11th Street where? From where to
11th
where?
and 77, it's from Ohio all the way to Tennessee.
From Ohio to Tennessee. So
Yes,
it's
If
the
you were-
west side of 77.
That's right. If you recall, during heavy
Yeah.
rains, it floods right there at 11
Oh, yeah.
and 77. We have been able to fix some of that just because there were some clogs in the pipe, but the permanent solution is to increase the capacity there.
Floods on the other side too, a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Backs up.
Backs up and floods the east side at the church and everything.
Yep.
I believe the stormwater master plan, actually, I believe the cover photo was that picture of Highway 77 right there.
And that's unfunded.
Those 4 projects listed there are unfunded HMGP projects.
The Dundee is the bridge in Mowat Highlands right there.
It is a culvert crossing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one, too, that we just approved the task order for Dewberry to design 24th Street. Dundee will have to be constructed prior to 24th being constructed. Likely, once Dewberry gets the design complete, we will submit them as a package for a grant. Not saying we will get any construction dollars, but we will include them for some money.
These type grants they're not 100%, they're matching, right?
Most of these types of grants would be matching.
Gotta have skin.
Number 2 under stormwater is the west side outfall. So you all have had several residents reach out to you about flooding in that area, mostly as water and roadways. That was one that was not on the stormwater master plan because there were not many structural flood, or there was not any structural flooding reported when the master plan was put together. So we looked at the west side outfall the past couple of years. There is a preliminary design there on the table. Harold's pulling it up right there. Dewberry surveyed and modeled this area, and the proposed improvements there would significantly increase water in the roadways there at like 18th and Vermont in those areas, as well as around 15th and Rhode Island, I believe it was. And there's been residents reach out to you all several times every time we get a rain for those areas. For that project, construction cost estimate is around $1.3 million. We are looking at hoping to add some money at mid-year budget to be able to design that and move forward with some type of construction there.
That's Miss Parker talks about 18th Street a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is she? I thought she was talking behind. Oh, yeah.
So we also, 24th Street, that task order was recently approved. That's under design. The Arthur Drive crossing, you all approved that earlier this year. That's under design. The outfall improvements listed as number 5. That was part of the legislative appropriation we got in 2022 or 23, I believe. We were able to bid out 2 of those projects in different phases. However, there are several projects still to do in that. You have a cost estimate here in your packet of the remaining outfalls. It's just under $2.5 million for that. We could submit for another appropriation at some point or some other types of grant opportunities. Aberdeen Drainage, you all approved the task order to design last year. We were shooting to include the construction cost of that in this year's budget. However, it did not make the stormwater budget. The construction cost estimate was too high for what the non-ad valorem took in. Cost estimate on that is just under $1.2 million. East 10th Street drainage improvements. That project has been designed for a while. We did a few modifications there. That project was just under $1.2 million. Again, that's another one that's 100% designed. The plans are over there. Just need some funding through the assessment or some grant opportunities. And then Mill Bayou drainage, that is after the county extended the road there, and we do have some drainage issues. We did get the plans completed on that. That's the one Mr. Montgomery had reached out to you all about. Design is complete, and we do anticipate put the construction dollars in the mid-year budget to finish that project out.
And the county still has work to do back there too, right?
No, sir, the county
Are they connected?
They're done with theirs.
They're taking over the stormwater and part
County
of
is managing the stormwater ponds there as part of Minge Branch Road. And then last commission meeting, you all approved the right-of-way acceptance of the roundabout that's in our right-of-way now.
it. Right.
But this is to remedy the drainage issue there.
Will it? Will it?
Yes, sir, it is intended to.
So I see the one for the concrete canvas for 300,000. How much will that cover?
So we bought $95,000 worth of the concrete canvas that did the railroad ditch, a little portion on 6th Street there. That's about $95,000 worth. So
Didn't we do some of that
As we
on
do
an
more.
outfall? Did we do some of that concrete canvas on an outfall?
we did it on the Missouri Avenue
Yeah.
outfall as part of phase 1. We've done it on 10th Street.
Yes.
We've done it in a couple different locations, and then we just did it on 2nd Street as part of one of the phase 2 outfall projects.
But as we do those concrete canvases, that should decrease. I shouldn't say decrease, but less the amount of work our ditch digging has to do.
Yes, sir. So instead of having to go and dig those ditches out, now we can take our vac truck out there and clean the silt out a few times a year versus having to go dig it.
And
It will grow. It will grow though. I mean, over at 10th Street, it gets growed over. You
Yes,
got to
sir.
get in there
As
and
silt builds up, grass and stuff will
Yeah.
accumulate and grow in there, but it's much easier and efficient to clean now than just the canvas.
That's true, but it does get overgrown a little bit.
How do you determine which ones you do? Is there a priority list or just pick one and go?
So we've been working on the trouble areas. For example, we just concreted, not canvas, but we actually had BCL form and pour a concrete ditch there at 17th and Minnesota Avenue. And that's because a lot of the 1600 and 1500 blocks would flow north to Minnesota to make their way to 17th Street to flow out. So it was constantly getting filled up with silt. So we did the concrete ditch there where it's kind of a main arterial ditch. Of course, we don't plan on doing all the small residential streets of that, but our main, more arterial ditches that have a lot of flow would be much more beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah, 17th Street used to be a really big ditch back in the day. You could lose a car in that thing. You remember that, Miss Tinder? How 17th Street used to be before they covered up the ditch on the side of the road? That was a... You remember the old 17th Street, how the ditch used to be?
I can't hardly even hear you, so I'm sorry.
Well, I'll come
I'm
down
trying
there
to
if I
read your
need
lips.
to.
Huh?
Do you remember the 17th Street ditch, how
Yes.
it used to swallow cars?
Yes, and people.
Yeah.
I believe a lady
People got-
drowned in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like that ditch by the mall over there.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yep. I've seen cars in that. I bet.
Back when it only had the two fields there.
Yeah.
So that's our stormwater there, but we have, like I said, there's been a lot of conversation about ending the stormwater assessment or lowering the stormwater assessment, but want this to show exactly how many projects are there. And if that's what we're going to do, there's got to be other funding sources to cover these projects because we're not able to do them with the money we have now. So if we have less money or do away with the assessment, we most definitely are not going to be able to do it.
I mean, we're constantly faced with this issue. We have surmounting projects. What are we backlogged on projects, or did we just not? Did we not have projects in the pipe? I know we haven't.
So we are backlogged on projects because we are backlogged on funding to complete those projects.
And that's been going on for.
The life of the city.
Yeah. So our goal is to prioritize and take a swing at the stuff we need the most, right?
So the prioritization was completed in 2019, long before I was here with the stormwater master plan that was put together. So we're still working off that original master plan because 4 of those unfunded HMGP projects were part of that master plan that are now designed, but no construction dollars are there. So we have not been able to even complete the original plan.
Is there, do we have what's the highest, at some point, there might be something that's not one of the projects you're talking about that might be a higher priority, correct? Or, so to speak, is the priority right, is what I'm asking.
The majority of these projects were identified due to structural flooding. Structural flooding areas the hotspots have not changed since that was put together. So these are still priorities. If we were to prioritize Acme, Dundee, 11th, and Pine Forest, I would put Pine Forest as priority number 1 and probably 11th Street as number 2.
Thank you. I'm just gonna blow hot air, but if we had a regional stormwater pond at the end of 17th Street, behind Mode Highlands there, like we had looked at, I think we have some engineered drawings or something. Wouldn't that help the Pine Forest area? Wouldn't that help?
That would significantly help the Pine Forest area. The drainage project will still have to be completed because we need to increase the capacity to get to the east side stormwater facility.
But having a 3-tiered pond and stuff that we could, a regional stormwater.
Yes, sir, it would drastically improve that. So we've also submitted a couple of different the resilient grant for the east side stormwater design, as well as a legislative appropriation this year for design. So we've got 2 different avenues.
So we're
working on.
pushing that through the lobbyists as well.
We are. I mean, it has been shot down in the past, so hoping to at least get one of those opportunities this fiscal year or next fiscal year.
If something like that came to fruition, or we got resiliency money for that, would it help not deprioritize, would it help offset a couple of these projects? Like they still all need to be done? Or would it make it better or soften the blow? Or
If we were to build the east side stormwater facility today, that may make Pine Forest priority number 2 and 11th Street priority number 1, but it would still be a very high priority.
okay. Just had to, that's what I knew I was blowing hot air, but I just wanted to get it out there. We still need these things.
Yes, sir.
So I see a lot of stuff we're designing in 25 and 26. How long is the design good for? And the reason I'm asking is, let's say you do a design and we can't get to it because it's too expensive, or we don't get appropriations, hoping to get appropriations. I hate to do a design and then later on decide we can't do it because so much time has passed.
So for many of these projects, the design would be fine for years. The topo is not changing. The footprint of the area is not changing. 11th Street, for example, it's not like you can build a subdivision on 11th Street and change the whole geography there. So those plans are good.
For a long time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just hate for us to get ahead, hope we get funding, and then we got to do the design again and spend extra
Very
money.
minimal changes would have to happen. Let's say we put sidewalks on some of these areas that were designed right now that they didn't have sidewalks now, or water meters changed. Very small, minor changes would have to be done.
Thank you.
One question I do have is, do notice we're doing some designs and we've approved designs recently. Have we considered using some of that money that we're designing for projects that we can't fund right now to actually fund some of the projects that we've already designed?
So some of them, yes, sir. However, there are some like the 24th Street design that we approved last commission meeting. That task order was for 65 grand. We're not really going to be able to construct anything for 65 grand, but we can get the design complete and then package that and Dundee together to submit for grant applications because they have to be done together.
All right.
But yes, we will get to a point where there is no reason to do any more design until some of these are built.
Okay.
You said grant, you mean HMGP?
No, sir, HMGP is over for us unless we have
I
another
didn't know if
disaster.
you could
hit us.
combine them together if that changed.
No, sir, that you can't change your HMGP submission.
Yeah.
Anything else on stormwater? Good.
Good morning. I want to take a moment and take a step back and actually look at the big picture here. Some 10 years ago, we didn't even have a stormwater master plan in place. So whenever there was some flooding issues, Bobby's phone would ring and he would have to put a Band-Aid on something. Today, I know these numbers are big. Today, at least we have a game plan in place. We know where it's bleeding, we know where the issues are, we have identified them, we got a lot of the, or we're working on a lot of the engineering plans for these different projects. Now it's just a matter of implementation. So I think we're in a really good position. Yes, it will cost a lot of money. We already spent a lot of money on this, but I think we're definitely heading in the right direction here.
And to also add to that too, the last rain we got, what was it, last weekend? My guy said no calls came in for flooding. I mean, and not saying that it was one of the worst rains we've had or anything, but used to, when I first started at the city, we would have got calls all weekend on that. I mean, Bobby can attest to the calls that we used to get. Just having the stormwater assessment and the work we're able to do on digging ditches and having equipment to clean things has made a huge improvement.
Is that how you got some of your hearing loss or
Hair loss.
hair loss?
We had, what, do we have almost 6 inches of rain? Like we had 2 inches and then a couple days later we had double that, right? Wasn't it?
We had a pretty significant amount of rain, and the ground was hard.
We got no
the drought,
meteorology
so it didn't soak in
reports?
very quickly this time.
Yeah. The ground didn't have rain, so it soaked it up pretty good. But that was a long, hard rain on Saturday, Sunday last week. So
How'd the rest of the county fare out? I remember there was a story about Panama City down, I think it was down by downtown by the marina, and that they flooded pretty bad. You know, if the rest of the county suffered from that rain.
I'm sure they did, but as bad as I've had it the past few years, I don't wish it upon anyone, and definitely
No.
don't want to. But yeah, they I did see some posts from Panama City. They had several flooding issues.
I'm just
They even had to have a special meeting about it. Pretty sure.
the, and I'm not. That's not why I bring it up. I'm just trying to see how we're doing compared to the other municipalities. And
I would say for some research on that, just look up Facebook page of a mayor of another city in this county.
Yeah. I think we're doing, to Commissioner Work's question and even to Ben's comment, even just having a master plan puts us many years ahead of other municipalities. I've had over the years citizens from other communities call and want recommendations on how did y'all put a stormwater master plan in place? Who can we call about getting a stormwater master plan? And so we've gotten compliments from other citizens and other municipalities just for having a plan. And then we're actually putting the plan into use and executing on the plan as best we can find as we get funds available for it. So I think it does put us ahead as it relates to what we're able to do. And then always looking at those hot spots. And over the years, we've asked citizens if they experience structural flooding to alert us to that so that we can put that into our database. And then I know, streets, in stormwater, y'all have gone out and tried to assess, is there something, can we just dig another ditch here or dig deeper here to just help that particular individual? So yeah, I think with the stormwater, we've done a significant improvement as it relates to our stormwater.
Mayor, that also, having a master plan or having something like the vulnerability assessment does that identifies certain projects. When Ms. Jordan submits for grant submissions, they do ask, has it ever been identified in a vulnerability assessment or in a master plan, or is there a reason you're submitting for that project versus just pulling a project that, a resident asked you to do or a commissioner wanted to do? So having a master plan is imperative to get grant funding.
I think it's also important to point out, maybe it's something we can use as a reasoning down the road, but I think it's fair to say other than maybe like Mexico Beach and Callaway area, I think we lost more trees per capita than any other city during the hurricane. And when you don't have the trees slowing down the water, there's a reason why after the hurricane we started flooding more. And it wasn't just because pipes were destroyed, it's because rain was coming in faster than it's ever come in. So it's great that we have this master plan because you could argue it's probably after the hurricane we're in the worst position we've ever been in terms of stormwater that was out of our control. So yeah,
I just wanted to, if I could, with your permission, Mr. Baker, you've got a lot of experience and I know we have this master plan, but I would just want to ask you particularly, what are our chances at all this? I mean, we're talking about we need appropriation, we need grants, we need this, but it's good to have it laid out. But I mean, in all the times you've been involved with, municipal government and what you've done, I mean, how does this line up? What's your take on it?
Well, I think with the assessment, the stormwater, that's been a great help. Because I think when Chris started, our R&M was what, $30,000 a month or a year?
There was $10,000 in that R&M line.
No budget. Since then, we've been able to buy equipment, hire contractors to clean out all the ditches, and fund some of the projects. So that, with grants, we're on the right track, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. But we've done a lot with that assessment. And I think you've probably heard a lot less about flooding now.
Yes, sir.
Last several years.
Yeah.
It's working. It's just going to take time.
And the prioritizing of the projects, and I mean, we just got to keep swinging at grants and appropriation to try to knock them down. I mean, that's basically how it works, right? The city can't do them all at once.
We'll keep applying for grants and legislative appropriations and do what we can.
Okay.
But it will take a while to get it.
Good to
We
hear.
do have one that's funded, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin and
Yeah.
Wyoming
Wyoming, excuse me, Wyoming is
and,
funded.
and Bradley or Bradford is
Right.
funded. HMG.
We did get that funding.
All right, Mr. Bashir, did you have something on stormwater?
I just wanted to drop back to what Commissioner Work asked a little while ago about this last rain event in Panama City having some issues. Not so much as say, oh, they had issues and we don't, but kind of as a benchmark of, there was flooding in the county in the previous times when that flooding occurred. Lynn Haven got it worse.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's not, are they getting it and we're not? It really is. I think that's where you were headed was you had a rain event that caused problems in Panama City. Would that same rain event have caused problems in Lynn Haven historically? I think that's kind of what you were asking.
I think, well, I remember before I got into office, stormwater assessment was already being talked about. Well, it was already being voted on. And then shortly after I got into office, Lynn Haven was definitely in the worst shape as far as stormwater in all of Bay County, no doubt. That's why I asked it. I was like, will it ever go away in Lynn Haven? No, because we know that I think we're in the lowest lying area probably in all of Bay County. So it's an extra struggle for us. But that's kind of what I was getting at.
Just having the funds available to dig ditches with a contractor and have a back truck to clean things has been significant improvement, just that alone. So anything else on the stormwater? So stormwater projects too, you do have the option for SRF loans. I know it's lower priority right now than some of the sewer projects, but that is something to just talk about in the future. Again, no decisions are to be made today, just kind of something for you all to think about as we prepare to meet in February for goals and budget workshops.
Is it just up to the city, our grant writer, or us to hire consultants, or lobbyists to go out and get these appropriations, or is it people that want to do business with us too, like engineering firms or
So I think you're going down the road of maybe public-private partnerships.
Yes, sir.
So that would be great. So we talked about the east side stormwater facility. We also want to do a west side stormwater regional facility.
Oh, yeah.
That would help out with our downtown district
and
and be able to.
we're looking at that
Yes, sir.
as
So
well. So
that
we
is
need
something that
the
is
property.
definitely kind of on the radar.
Okay. So we need to solicit public-private partnerships with all the help we can get for these projects, correct?
Yes, sir.
There's some major development plans going on, north of us. So, with the rate study and all, we're taking in present day, houses on roads. Are we factoring in potential development? You go up 77, they're the county's building a sports complex, and there's more neighborhoods are being, Lake Merrill's going to expand, have another phase here and there and whatnot. But the rate study that we originally started talking about, with the scenarios about the sewer plant and whatnot.
That will encompass all of that. Yes,
It
sir.
will.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else on the stormwater topic? So moving on to streets. So you'll see in your spreadsheet there, you have multiple line items for roads and transportation. Those numbers, if you look in the third column there, status and notes, the red PCI, lime green PCI, orange, that is how our RMT software has graded the roads. We're spending the $34,000 a year on that road software. It is very beneficial to have. We will continue submitting appropriation requests and using half-cent money when necessary to pave the roads. But I feel we are in pretty good shape as far as our road paving. It's probably the most minimal complaints we get is roads. Mostly it's stormwater and sewer. So I feel that road paving is pretty high up there for the city. I think we've done a great job over the past probably 10 years of that. Paved close to 30 miles of roadways. So they've done a good job keeping the roads up to date.
Question number 22, Michigan Avenue and East 18th Street to the end of the road. Is that the one that, I know I've asked you about 18th Street a few times.
Yes, sir.
Is that one? Okay.
Yes, sir. And they're not in any particular order as far as the task.
Okay.
The reds are all priority number one. Orange would be number two. So it would be budget fitting of how, you would prioritize the ones in the red.
Got it.
And then item 2 there in the streets is Hawks Landing. So a few meetings ago, we had some residents talk about the Hawks Landing and entrance there at Bay Haven School. You all saw some emails from a resident, I believe maybe it was earlier this week or last week,
Yeah.
just with an update. So we had one of our engineers look at the different options there. There's a couple different plans there. There's also on your screen. One is to take out the median and have the lane going directly into Hawks Landing. And then the other one is purchasing the piece of property and having a roadway that's kind of a little further back and then comes out on, is that 37th or 39th there? So there has been some discussion there. Again, not to vote on or anything today, but we will need some direction when it's time for budget workshops of, is that something you all want us to move forward with in the street department to design a couple different scenarios there? One of them does require property purchase.
We need to do something. I was over there at school time a couple days ago, and I saw a guy in a work pickup truck. I saw a resident that literally had to back out backwards, back into 389, okay, and then go in where people are coming out to turn left and right onto 389, and go on the other side of the median and drive against traffic illegally just to get into the neighborhood, because both lanes, when you turn right to go into the school, they back up and they just sit, and literally it's a standstill. It's gridlock, and people who are trying to get into their neighborhood. I could only imagine what an emergency vehicle would have just shot against traffic. I know to get into the neighborhood, but this happens to them every single day over there, man. So we gotta help relieve something. And if the school doesn't, they don't redesign anything or only let so many people in, it's almost better to back people up on 389 than to clog it right there where people are trying to get into a neighborhood.
So I have spoken with school officials in the past couple of weeks. They have made some changes in regards to opening up more lanes as parents come in. I'm assuming you're talking about like in the afternoon.
Yeah, this was in the afternoon.
So in the afternoon, some parents get there as early as 11:30 and just park and sit.
Okay. So we faced that same issue at Lynn Haven Elementary where, like, my mom would have made me wait for about 2 hours after school before she sat in that traffic, and they line up hours before.
So they've made adjustments and requirements.
I know,
but people still show up at the time they show up. Just
since Hurricane Michael, I guess the stats were, that these kids aren't getting off a bus. This is all parents dropping off, and that's become the majority of
That's
the
the
issue.
new norm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the new norm. They're all drop off pickup.
Also, the school board changed it to where it used to be if you lived a mile away, you could ride the school bus. Now you have to live 2 miles away to ride the school bus. So
no, that's Bay District.
so that doesn't fall under the charter academies?
No, charter is different. With charter, you have to. I
probably.
think you live within 2 miles to get their bus, but
Okay.
Bay District is 2 miles beyond. So, like I said, in speaking with school officials, they've made some adjustments to time, even where people can park. And people just continue to.
Boy, it's something. And it's,
Yeah.
I wish I would say it's it's only some days. It's every day of the week over there for them.
Yeah, and I do notice at times and this not even the Mosley traffic, but it actually goes down Mosley Drive and back that up
Yes,
at
sir.
times. So if I'm going home, I just avoid. I know in Ward Highlands we have to figure out what
Most
are
of it
our
backs up there.
our gaps of time to avoid not to go somewhere and when it is time
Most
to
of
go.
Minnesota, you got to give that half hour, 45 minutes from school. So.
Yeah.
As one of the residents there, I would just like to add, I know you said with the emergency vehicles having to go the opposite way. The
Yeah.
problem is a lot of the times all 4 of those lanes are blocked.
That's not
So I've
good.
actually seen
Yeah.
an EMS attempt to get into the neighborhood, and even the 2 outgoing lanes are sitting there.
I saw
There's no way to get in.
I saw the outgoing lanes have to get out of the way so the other people could come in the opposite way. It literally was just a hodgepodge of dysfunction while I was watching this happen I happened to be at the light,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, this ain't right, man. We got to do
The
something.
dysfunction, yes, but I'm saying like even the outgoing lanes, when you have 10 people backed up in the right and the left turn lane, plus all the ingoing lanes are completely blocked.
It's
So
ugly.
there's literally, I mean, it would take an extra 5 minutes to get those parents to move.
No, we gotta do something to help y'all out.
Put that in there. It's not as easy as them going in the out because that's normally blocked too.
Yeah. I see that, but just seeing that was enough to make me say, "Hey, man, there is something wrong here."
So Hawks Landing Boulevard, is that our road or is that
Well, the median's
The Hawks
there.
Landing Boulevard is our road.
the
Yes, sir.
Hawks Landing Boulevard is our road? So is there a time constraint or something that we could put on that road? Okay, you can't come on this road until this particular time, or
Don't we have to, if we had to do anything to the median, don't we have to get HOA approval too?
You mean you can't line up for the school? Like we could put a,
right? Because from talking with the school officials, the problem they're having is they're adjusting the times for lineup to try to avoid the blocking.
Can't you just paint one lane and say they can't go in this lane?
let me discuss with
Yeah.
Chief Infinger and see if there's something that you can do there. I'm not sure if that's
Yeah.
permittable, but
Well, just give them one lane to go into the neighborhood. They don't need 2
well,
lanes.
and that's what the proposal on your screen is there.
Yeah.
However, that's one thing we need to discuss further is there is no money in the budget to design that or to build that. If that's something that,
Well, there's 2 lanes there right now. There's 2 lanes.
right.
So
So
just tell them they can't, the school people can't go in that far left lane. Let people come in and have that lane to go and just make it, paint it, put arrows on it, or put a sign that says, they can't, this lane cannot be blocked. We haven't gone down that road yet. Just make it, the school can't touch that far left lane.
Because I think the challenge the
No.
school is having is, to Pat's point, is they can't control what's happening on Hawks Boulevard or what's happening on
They
389.
can't have both
right.
lanes into the
they can
school.
only control right there in their driveway.
Right. So they've made adjustments to what's happening in their driveway to open up both driving lanes in their driveway to try to get traffic flowing smoother. But they can't dictate to the parents or to whomever, this is what you can only do on Hawks Landing Boulevard or 389. So really, I don't think we can even control what happens on 389 as much as what can we do on that little strip there.
That's right there. But we can we can pass ordinance or we can write tickets if people are blocking that lane and keep them and control the parents that way.
Do we have police officers out there now? Directing
Enable.
traffic?
Not directing traffic on Hawks
Yeah.
Landing
Should
Boulevard.
have one.
And
over
have
there.
we come up with any cost?
I think that's the sheriff that's out. They have the sheriff that's at their school now. So we did have a Lynn Haven police there, but then the sheriff is there now.
Where the cost on,
Now, do we have any cost factors? I mean, I guess you can't jump the line on the budget, but I mean, do we have any idea? You said we've not
yes, ma'am.
designed
So
or anything?
it'll be in this packet here. It's the last 2 pages. So Hawks Landing, option 2 of Connector Road is about $500,000 for the connector road there. And then what was on the screen originally is about $150,000.
Is there any way, I don't know if we've looked at this already, but since that's a county road that goes through there, is that something we could team up with the county to help fund this?
Very possible.
Okay.
It just seems like, I'm not saying this as a joke, it's true. We sell a lot of lunches to parents waiting in line at Lynn Haven Elementary. They'll come in and get lunch, take it back to their car, and sit there and eat for a couple hours. And like you said, my mother would have never, she would have never sat out there and just waited on everybody. I just feel like, is it because the whole idea has changed as far as busing? Is that the whole thing? So,
Well, I think with busing, like, for example, my son goes to Bay Haven. The bus would get home, if he rode the bus, he'd get home at 4:45. So then if there's a family activity I have to do, then I would have to wait till almost 5 o'clock before we could do anything.
and is it because of lack of buses? I used to drive school bus in the 70s.
I think there is
and had
I do believe there is a lack of driver, like every other
they're
profession.
asking for a lot of
There is a lack
drivers,
of drivers.
I think it's two things. I think one, that's what I think Commissioner Peebles is alluding to, is you have to, in order to get a bus to come to your place to pick you up, you got to be so close to the school. I think it's about 2 miles, you said? 2 miles. Right. And the other thing is, I think it's a cultural thing. I remember when I was a kid, I always either walked or took the bike when I got older, and now it seems like everyone takes their kid to school.
So I
think
live
it's
right
two
over by Mowat, like right by Mowat. And I'm on the same piece of property I used to be on. And when I was a kid, I was homeschooled, and I would just go outside and play basketball in my driveway with kids walking home from school. There'd be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids walking home from school. Now, maybe we have 40. You know, like kids just don't walk home from school anymore. Well, yeah, it is. Especially now it's even more dangerous because you got all those cars that are parked over there, and the kids are running in and out of the cars, and then the cars can't see them.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty bad.
And where I grew up is a lot more rural. I think we had like 3,000 people in my town, so a lot different culture there.
All right, Mr. Janke.
So this traffic problem has been around for quite a while, and we've looked at this, we analyzed it, we came up with recommendations. I would say at least two problems that we're facing here is, number one, the internal traffic circulation on the property, on the school property, is substandard. It's just not efficient. There are a lot of traffic paths that are crossing, and that causes a lot of confusion. It's not a steady flow. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the whole area, you will find out that Mosley High School, Bay Haven, and Train have a lot of create a lot of traffic within the same time frame. So Mosley and Bay Haven release their kids between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the same time, and Train has their shift change at 3 o'clock, which causes a cluster. We reached out to all three entities and said, guys, would you like to work together maybe on this and maybe change your work schedule a little bit by half an hour? Or maybe the two schools can work with each other and maybe change their hours a little bit to make some adjustments. And long story short, they all said no.
Yeah, I think
Because, so the school system, Mosley and Bay Haven said no because they have a fixed school bus pickup time, and that prohibits them apparently to make any changes to it. Train actually took that request to their employees because they're constantly waiting on Aberdeen Parkway to get out on 389 whenever they're leaving their facility. And the employees said, no, we don't want to make the shift change. We want to keep it the way it is. So we came up with some ideas how to do this, how to provide we could build an additional access point further east on Hawks Landing Boulevard. Is that the name of the road?
That was option
The
2 in
football
there.
field is basically, that could be one option. But it can be fixed. It's just a money question. The school district is aware of it, but they don't have money either.
Ben, I had the privilege to be on the TPO, and we had an issue with Callaway Elementary School and the drop off right there on Highway 22, and how parents were stopping, to pick up their kids on the other side of 22, and the kids were coming out, and it's scary, and they found a way, and they got General McQueen involved, and they all looked at it, and they found a way within the grounds, and they found another access point on the around the corner on the back side of the school grounds, and they reinforced a driveway, and they have a better pickup system, drop off system now.
Oh.
And there's a possibility that have we taken it to that level and talked to the school board about the campus and what they could do to possibly redesign or put an extra lane on their roundabout there.
Well, everything can be fixed. Just how much does it cost? But today's topic was the Hawks Landing. Just as
I'm
that
talking
plug out
about
there.
somebody else's budget, not our budget. I'm talking about school board budget. So they gotta assume some of this issue, this problem too.
The challenge with the school board budget is that Bay Haven is private charter.
They still fall under a certain budget, don't they? They have money.
They have
too.
their own budget.
They have their
but
own
not the
budget.
school board.
Yeah.
So they're not Bay District schools. So yeah, they have their own budget. So we could, follow up with them. I do know internally, and this is just for me, again, being a parent dropping off, they have opened up. Initially, you could only go in one lane. When you first got on campus, if you were going to the elementary side, you had to be dedicated to the elementary lane. If you're going to middle school side, you'd be dedicated to the middle school lane, which would then back up traffic literally all the way down nearly to 26th Street. Traffic will be backed up to 26th Street. With new administration, they have now opened up both lanes so that it doesn't matter which side you have to go on. When you come on campus, you just go down the lane, which has, at least going down 389 towards 26th Street, has decreased that traffic. So before, if I didn't leave my house by 6:30, I couldn't drop off by a particular time.
But they funnel everything in that intersection into the school on the side there. They have an entrance out on 389 that they've got a fence and it's blocked off.
They've been using that for buses now.
Okay.
For that particular entrance. So they've been using that for buses to try to stop
Buses that nobody gets on, obviously.
Yeah.
And you can exit that way, but they don't let people come in, so it doesn't bottleneck.
Right.
Yeah. Because it is done before that when they have had it open. Then when you have a parent that comes up from 389 and say, you know what, I don't want to sit in this traffic. I'm just going to shoot right here. So now you got people fighting because now I'm breaking in line to get in front of you. So, but on campus, they have opened up both of those lanes to try to expedite the traffic flow through there. I know before you could do parent pickup, we could go and actually get your child, which had less cars in line. But then those parents would get stuck waiting as the line would congest as well. So then they've taken away the parent pickup over the past couple of years. But yeah, I think we have some good ideas specifically on the Hawks Landing Boulevard, and just keep talking with the school about things that they can do on their circle. But definitely Hawks Landing Boulevard, I think we have some good options for that. So
Yes, sir.
I like the idea too, what you were saying about let's block one of those lanes.
Write them ticket.
Moving on to, I think that covers all of our public works and utility stuff. Let's talk about a fun topic of the library. So,
Before we move on to the library, can we talk about something else that deals with streets?
yes, sir.
So I talked about it a little bit at our last meeting, but I think we need to make some adjustments to the Rails for Trails crossing across the streets.
Yes, so Ben is working on some pricing for the flashing beacons that we talked about.
Mhm.
So we will look at those and bring those back too.
Okay, cool.
and I've had some citizens to make that same statement
Yeah.
that as long as it's flashing, then you're just like, okay, all right. You have to
Yeah.
be intentional to stop and slow down.
It's the same
and
thing
see
we had
someone
at
walking.
17th Street, but, you know, we put the flashing beacons that were nonstop between certain hours, but after a while of you seeing them, you just
Yep.
continue on.
Need to.
Especially people that live in the area.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Panama City on Beck Avenue, they have like the little beacon where you press the button.
Yes, sir, and that's the ones we're looking at getting
And it
the
flashes.
pricing on.
Yes, sir.
I want to back up just a second back to the school entrance issue. So the plan that they've shown, I think will help a lot. Not because right now, talking with the resident, they actually end up parking basically dead stop on both lanes, the through lane and the turn lane, because Bay Haven has 2 lanes. After you get in Bay Haven, they have 2 lanes. So it just makes sense to people for both lanes to turn in there, so they block the through lane. This will give them 2 turn lanes to get into the 2 lanes in Bay Haven, which hopefully will allow them to leave the through lane open. It won't solve the problem on 389, but it will, at least in that part of it. I think it will help a lot.
All right. Thank you. I do know that at one time, I think usually at the beginning, I think it was maybe at the beginning of the year, there was LHPD and I think the sheriff that was out there to try to stop the parking on, because now they don't. Parents, again, if the line's too long, then you go into actually Hawks Landing neighborhood, drop your kid off, and they'll do a U-turn and come back out. And so I do know that there were some officers that were out there stopping that.
At the beginning of the school
At
year,
the
it definitely
beginning of the
takes time to
school year.
retrain everyone on how they're supposed to drop kids off.
So hearing that, we may just ask, if we could have some of the officers just to sort of be out there to make sure that the traffic still flows smoothly, and that people are, following the rules and the ordinances. So
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What is the projected cost of what was presented to
Yes,
us?
so in the package here of the different cost opinions, the last 2 pages, so option 1 is $125,000, and then option 2 of that connector road is about $500,000.
Okay, thanks. That's with design and construction?
That is, but does not include the property acquisition for the road.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
I
Because,
think-
I mean, theoretically, you could, $500,000 is a lot. You could you could theoretically just hire you could hire someone full-time for, the benefits and everything. You're probably looking at, I don't know, 80,000 to 100,000 a year. But I mean, if you had someone that their entire job was literally from going school to school, that might be cheaper. Something to look at, because nothing will change a citizen's mind more than having to pay money. And I know that we don't make revenue off of those tickets. Like, I think Deputy Chief Enfinger said we make like $8 off a traffic ticket or something. So it's not as a revenue source for us, but it might be cheaper just to employ someone that's their job, is to enforce the laws that are already in place. I don't know. It's another option.
we could consider that, I guess, in the long run, after 10 years, then we've already exceeded that one-time investment. And then it's going to be an ongoing, and I think some of the challenges ongoing because every year there's new parents.
Right.
So every year you have new parents. So they would definitely stay in business because there's a kindergarten class coming in every year. There's transfer students coming in every year. So although I may follow the rule this year and keep it going, when we get new parents in, they may not do that. And maybe, although the $500,000 issue is more, it would probably resolve the issue of what that third lane does or doesn't do, having that outlet to where that's not going to get clogged up by someone trying to get into the school entrance as well. So it does cost more, but that may be a better long-term solution over time.
Have we just told the school we're going to sit out there and write tickets? They'll react to it. Trust me.
Well, and again, I don't think it's the school. It's going to be the parents because the school doesn't control Hawks Landing Boulevard.
And the school gets messages to the parents. I don't think the message is clear that they need to give the residents and people a through lane there. And so it's I mean, we may not have to spend a dime if we could just train people to do it right. I mean, we're putting a lot of thought into it now, but I mean, there's an enforceable issue here. You know, that we probably need to put man hours on it and train people and know this that we have an ordinance in place. We're serious, you know, and that there needs to be a lane through for the people that live there.
You'll need to put signage up there.
Oh,
I don't think there's a sign that says that's a straight on.
That's why I said signage or paint the through lane, you know, make it a different color with arrows. You know, there's stuff that you can do. So, I mean, that we're before we go on and take on a project.
So then, right. So if we do that, and I hear you, but that's if they're just coming off 389. So if I'm turning in left, that's if they're coming, was it north on 389? But if I'm going south or west on 389 and I'm turning left into it, I can't go into that other one lane is the issue. So those two lanes are there. So I understand what you're saying. Those two lanes are there. But if I'm turning left into it, I have to turn into this lane because I can't bypass this lane to then go down and turn into that lane that's coming off 389. And then once I get into that left lane, either I'm going to have to wait, which is what has been the problem before when they didn't open both of the lanes. I would have to wait to try to get over into the right lane, or what do I do in that left lane once I get into it, turning left?
That's their problem. They have everybody coming in on that one side. You have an entrance where you say you're only using buses right now. People coming in north on 389 can turn in before that intersection.
Right. So
you think about it. Have they really done their diligence and looked at it?
So then I guess I'm just trying to think of it logistically. No, we're not. But I'm just thinking of the logic of what you're explaining. If we only dedicate that one lane, how does the mass, because the majority of people are coming into that left lane, how do I get into that far lane?
Take the pressure off it beforehand. Like I said, the people who are already stopped trying to get in, and the people who are coming to turn left or turn in there. Then if you have that other entrance open beforehand, those people won't be blocking the intersection. They'll be coming in. In before the intersection, and the people at the intersection go straight across.
Okay. All right.
Not the one I envisioned to be the hot topic, but
well, it's been the one that we've gotten several concerns about the 4 years I've been here.
And how long did you say you personally have to be on the road to take your son?
Before
what
this
time
year,
do you have to leave in the morning?
So before this year, I would have to leave at 6:30 to not get caught in traffic. And anytime if I left after 7 o'clock, it would be a 40-minute drop off for him at school. Because they've opened up both of those lanes now, it does make it a little easier on campus. But even in the afternoons, I don't go pick him up at 3:45 because I've talked to the administration like, hey, I'm not, if you don't get there parents are getting there at 1:30. So if you don't get there at 1:30, you're not going to get your spot in line. You get there at 3 o'clock, you're going to sit there forever. So I just go at 3:40, 3:45 and pick him up to avoid. So that's what to avoid all the traffic.
And do you think this is just a question because I'm hearing more of this too. People are really starting to go to homeschooling. I wonder if this has any bearing on it at all.
I don't think so. I think that's going across the whole state. Microschooling is becoming a big thing throughout the state. Yes.
But I think you're getting paid to do homeschooling too now. From what I'm understanding, there's grant monies available to homeschool. So
that's why microschooling has become a big deal because they get so much money and then they pay whoever's actually schooling them to microschool them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, traffic has improved somewhat this year, but it still hasn't taken away the problem, that they have in Hawks Landing. So, all right. Are we going to build a library?
that is the question that I would love to hear today. So earlier this year, we did get a couple different schematics for utilizing the senior center of what could be done there. Not sure if you all have had any feedback from that. I sent you all the plans. I know there is certain groups that do not want anything added to the senior center.
Right.
There are some groups that want a standalone library, and then there are some groups who do not want a library at all. We do get calls. Ty probably gets the most calls about the library and what's the status. We really just, again, we're not voting on anything today, but we need to know kind of where we're headed with this.
So I went over to the senior center and talked to the president of the senior club and treasurer and all them, and they're fine with the addition. They just don't want us taking over. I did not realize how often they're open. So they're open pretty much every day for like all day long. At first I was like, well, that we can just use that area that's already in there in the back, but that's not possible. But when I mentioned, possibly expanding, they don't have issues with it.
And there is some options in what I sent out earlier this year of what could be done. But we just need to know is that something that you all want us to consider putting in the budgets, or how do you want that to go?
My opinion on this whole thing, I mean, a library is nice to have, right? And with all the we're talking a lot about it right now with the capital improvement projects, with everything we have going on, I think it's making a library a priority is a bad business decision for the city. And it's not because I'm anti-library. It's not because I don't want a library. We need to focus on things that are more important. Now, later down the line, when things get a little bit more healthy, maybe we can relook at it. But right now, I think for me, it's a no.
So can you remind me of the feedback we got from the referendum?
The referendum was, if I remember correctly, Ms. Hodges can weigh in, it was a yes to join the Northwest Florida Library program, but it was a no on constructing a library.
Yeah, because right now, the only option we have is Panama City. So if someone wants to use a computer, if someone wants to look at a book, then we have to go to 11th Street to do that. So
I get a lot of questions about the library, and it is mostly seniors, but it's also young students too, that their parents want them to be able to come there to do research and things of that nature. I usually just try talking them off the ledge and going, well, I don't think it's way up here in priority, but something will take place. And I've definitely heard the seniors in the senior center do not want us to disrupt anything in that building because of a library. However, the building next to it, that old shed or whatever it is, I don't know what's in there. Or
Old records that
old records are
yes,
in there?
ma'am. Old building department records, yes, ma'am.
Wow. Well, probably Cece could probably get those on computer.
So, while we're talking about that, so we have gotten a price on scanning all of those documents, scanning some that are in the service center and scanning some that are in the new shed. It's well over $300,000 to do it. It is not a job that someone can just do in their spare time here.
I was kidding.
Different topic for a different day, but yes, we do have to get a plan for those documents.
As far as the library goes, though, we have a good maintenance department. Is that a project to add on to that or revise or
So
fix up that shed?
Miss Judy,
Mr. Footen and I had a long conversation yesterday about doing construction projects in-house from a facility standpoint.
Yeah.
Once we get this facilities maintenance building closed out and the final CO on that, we will not be tackling another project of that magnitude of building something with our facilities maintenance team. One, it takes away from everything else they have to do. we have 1 or 2 people that we can only dedicate it to that, and it takes probably 4 or 5 times longer than what it would take in going, putting a set of plans out to bid and having a contractor do it.
Okay, how many are in your, how many are in your department? Oh, there's only 4. Okay. Yeah, I guess that does not build or make a building crew, does it?
Just as a
Okay.
refresher,
Yeah, but that
Whatever-
building.
whatever you decide to do with regard to the library, build a new building, add on to the senior center, whatever, that will be general fund money and will have impact on the ad valorem.
Hey, what's going on with this building? Right, I'm looking right at it. The old old city hall, the corner building. I'm staring at it. It's
Your question was what's going on in there?
yeah. What is it? What is it?
So you would really only be able to utilize the lower story. You have that spiral staircase to get to the second. We could not have people in and out of that building, utilizing the second
What are we
story.
doing with it now?
It's right now there. You have the vault of records, and then you have some old historical stuff in there.
I thought that was going to be our offices.
It-
I'm
Have
kidding.
any of you been in it? Go when we get done. Walk over. Your key card works. We'll let you in.
Let's make
But
it a
you know the
media
bottom-
center.
Very big.
Let's put a sign on it.
The bottom floor could be used as, like the mayor said, if people want to bring books over.
Yeah, you could put a kiosk in there for the.
So
Go in first. Take a look at it, and then when you see how small it is, you'll be like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work."
And
It's-
you would need to staff it. So if you wanted to do a media center or a library or a historical museum, whatever you'd want to do over there, you would need to have ongoing staff.
Is there any?
Remember, staff doesn't only get paid; they have benefits too. That goes into us matching their retirement, matching their benefits, that kind of thing.
So basically, to be
This
totally
big old
honest
building
with the
we got
public,
right here.
what do we tell them when they say, "Are we getting a library?" What did we tell them?
That is
No,
what I
it's
would
a
like-
low
We
priority.
that
promised
is
you
what
one.
I would like to hear from you 5 today. Or is it?
Oh, you got one of the 5.
It is a low priority for what I'm hearing from one.
Yeah, I've been very vocal about not wanting a library either. Not that I don't want a library, but that is very, very low. I guess the way the analogy I like to use is like, if you got a hole in your roof, you don't keep paying for Netflix. You cancel Netflix and get that roof fixed. A library, when we have one down on 11th Street, we have Amazon. You've got everyone has a smartphone. The statistics show that the usage of libraries are at an all-time low. To me, at this point, it's a luxury item to have, and it'd be great to have if we had the funds for it. But I don't think we don't. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter.
I think it's a priority to the senior citizens, basically. But yeah,
I don't know.
most of them don't have iPhones, nor are
You-
they on Facebook.
You were on the commission. I was on the commission since 2019. I know we promised our people we would rebuild that library.
Well, not only that, if you remember also, the way that was not handled, we didn't tarp the roof, we didn't do anything to it, we just let it rain in, and it ruined basically everything
Oh, yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
And I know I personally worked with a few families that had treasured documents from their children who had passed on that they let ruin in there, and they wanted somebody to go in and at least try to get them out. And I've also been told at the time when they started ripping away the layers, the steel and all that was good. They go, why did we do this? And then why did we rip it down? And I mean, people ask questions and I usually go, I have no idea. I mean, I don't have answers for those questions. It was just bad management. But
Well, I'll keep my comment brief. I'm for the library. All right.
The actual question on the referendum was partnering with the Northwest Florida Regional Library System to establish a satellite branch within an existing city-owned building, passed by 65.77%. That was the actual question.
So based on the referendum, then it'd have to be like a kiosk or something within the building we already have.
I
I'm
think-
fine with that.
After the storm, we had that bus out there that people volunteered when they were bringing books over and people were checking them out. Now, I don't say, yeah, we can't do that on a volunteer system, but I get.
So yeah, so let's look at some options, coming up in the new year. So we'll check those out. But let's take a break and we'll come back. welcoming everyone back to our City Commission workshop.
So we're not voting on anything today, but I did get direction from three, Commissioner Ward, the mayor, and Commissioner Peebles. I know you and Commissioner Perno both had long answers, but it's kind
Well,
of
I guess
I think by the referendum it says convert an existing building for the Northwest Florida Library System, right? Why can't we find, like Commissioner Peebles said, he's for a kiosk somewhere. Why can't we just put a something out here with the receptionist where they can have a Northwest Florida Library set up or see, and they said they would man it. You know what I mean? There's got to be a space in this hallway in that building over there, somewhere where we could do it, put up a sign, and at least give people an access point to the Northwest Florida Library System.
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is reach out to Northwest, like Mrs. Hodges was saying. But we need to reach out with them and see if they will even allow us to do a kiosk or something like that. And then we need to get with our grant writer and see what grants are available.
she will be the same person that will be reaching out to them. That is right in her wheelhouse. So we will get to work on that and bring back something.
so. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's talk about the fire department.
The fire station is going to be just an easy topic for today, just a placeholder for you all to know. Fire, no comment, sir. Fire Station 3 in Mill Bayou, we do have to kind of start thinking about that in the future. That is one of the legislative appropriations we submitted for this year when the mayor and I met with Representative Griffiths. That was a discussion topic. Both of our lobbyists, Ms. Timmons and Mr. Minor, are both aware of this one, and we will hopefully get some funding to at least do the PD&E study for Fire Station number 3 in Mill Bayou. Keep in mind, if we do get this appropriation and we do the PD&E study and then we move on to a request next year for construction, or we find a grant for construction, or you all decide to pay for it out of pocket, we will have to house the station, to equip the station, and everything that comes along with that. So
What about Mr. David?
we have not heard from him on that, but we are still required.
Isn't he on the hook for something?
No, sir, and it's different
Mill Bayou.
wording in the agreement, but it will have to be done by the city.
We need it on that side of town for response
Yes, sir,
times.
we've got to have a fire station there. If Marina Island develops, they'll also have a fire station. So we could, in potential next 10, 15 years, have 2 more stations.
Right.
Any word on Marina Island? Anybody
No,
talk
sir,
to you?
we have not heard anything back from them. They said their plan was to submit something by the end of the year. However, Santa Claus is coming in a few days, so it's getting here before
You
you.
might want to remind them. Is there contact? Is there a
Yes, sir,
date?
we've reached out to them. Marina Island, on the private side, Andy Bales. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Moving on to Kensaw Park, we had talked about that a few months back. Just bringing it back to a couple different concepts for Kensaw Park. Of course, we still have the splash pad there that we need to demo. But what do we want to put there in the space of it if we want to put anything? Harold, grab Kensaw Park renovations for the screen there. And there's also some paper copies over. Kensaw up just a little bit. Right there. A couple different options through here. One is just to add on to the pavilion or add another pavilion that's there. That's in the existing footprint of the splash pad. Just scroll through there, those, Harold. Another one is more pickleball courts with lights. We know popularity of pickleball. Some more sand volleyball courts with lights. Another, Commissioner Peebles, I believe you had talked about a squirt pad there instead of a splash pad, just doing something that you can, push the button and the water features come on. And then a couple of sand volleyball courts still with the additional squirt pad. Then there is 4 bocce ball courts in that one. And Mr. Ferris and Mr. Ward, they can comment much more on what they feel would be get more response from citizens. I know I've never played bocce ball before in my life, but Mr. Ferris has a lot of bocce ball, I don't want to say experience, but we've discussed bocce ball a lot. There is a drive or a push for that. There's always a push for pickleball. I think Justin has the volleyball folks that would benefit from it. So I don't think you can go wrong with anything there in lieu of that splash pad. It just depends on how much money we want to spend on it and when.
And I have to ask the question, why are we demolishing
So
the splash pad?
The splash pad was demoed from the water spout in 2023 or 4. We've received the insurance claim. If we put a splash pad back, we still have to fix that one. So there's still a lot of work that would have to go if you wanted to put a splash pad back.
How much do we collect on insurance on it?
15,000.
Something like,
Very little,
I want to say it was like $10,000 or $15,000.
not very much because it was already damaged underneath the footing, the top part. So it was just basically the equipment. And we are still paying a premium on that piece of equipment.
Okay, so so basically what you're saying is, regardless of it, is that regardless of what happens, it's gonna, even if you were to do a new splash pad, you'd still have to basically demo.
Yes,
And if we don't demo it, we're paying a monthly premium or a yearly premium already just for it sitting there.
Bobby and Chris may be able to speak to this more directly, but the problem is there is water. Yep.
One of the biggest problem with the existing one is most of the damage was from, it was built too low. The groundwater pushes it up and it cracked all that, broke the pipes. And so if you want another one, you would really need to tear it out, elevate it, and then build it again. Keep that groundwater from pushing up.
And
Yeah, you'd have to build,
A ram jacket.
excuse me?
You have to elevate the slab.
Yes, yes. Because the groundwater is causing a lot of the problems.
Okay.
The groundwater comes up
Uh-huh.
during the wet period, and it breaks the pipes and stuff underneath it, and it bubbles up through it, and then it just damages everything. And then those pipes start leaking and blowing out. So you would really need to elevate it to build it back proper.
And that was, I know we looked at this a few years ago about possibly rebuilding. We were estimating about $500,000 at that time to rebuild
Believe it
another
was
one.
Yeah,
$500,000.
it's $500,000 at least to do it.
But not only that, the cost to maintain it, I'm trying to remember, I think for both splash pads, I think they were saying it's about $300,000 a year, maintain both splash, if we had 2 splash
If you have
pads.
to, right, it's about $100 grand, just a little more a year. So,
For the main,
So is
Oh, okay.
is the integrity of the slab broke because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
groundwater?
yeah, it's all broke up.
So it would have to be
Once those
it would have to be
pipes-
re-poured regardless.
Well, if you re-pour it, it's just going to do it again.
Right,
So you
right.
need
But you'd have to
elevate
re-pour it with elevation, right?
it. Yeah.
Hey.
And there's the cost of maintenance and insurance on it.
I think Justin had also done a tally of the attendees throughout a couple years ago, and I believe Kane was way higher than Kensaw, if I remember right, Justin.
Is Kane okay?
Did a study on the usage of cane this year. The capacity of the splash pad is 46. We've only reached capacity twice, and that was when Weeball expired, and basically everybody came down to the splash pad. We also, if we opened up Kinsall, I'm scared about the staffing. Obviously, right now, we're only hiring high schoolers because no adult wants to sit in the sun right now, so there's always call-outs. So if we were to open Kinsall, it would be a problem with us having to carry the staff.
Ms. Hodges also has something on the staffing.
To follow up with Justin, we have settled several suits at the splash pad. Parents, the main argument is that our staff are supposed to be guardians of the children, meaning they should provide all safety and have them avoid all accidents. We successfully, I think we would have successfully won the battle in court, but that would have been very expensive. Each of the cases that have come to the city have been in excess of $300,000. We were able to settle it way below that, but again, that's time, money, etc., and it all has to do with talking water, children, slides, running, slipping, and injuries. So it is an increased risk with an increased premium because of the increased risk.
All right. So what are you wanting to hear from us regarding these concepts exactly?
Again, not deciding anything today, but definitely want the wheels to turn for the budget workshops that will start in February timeframe, and some different options that we could put in there. Would love to, as you're doing your coffee with commissioners and Mayor, you're doing your time with residents of talking to people and, hey, what would you like to see there? Are you a bocce ball fan? Are you a pickleball fan? Do you want more and volleyball courts? Just kind of some feedback from you all together, from your constituents, so that we know how to go forward.
Can we have another coffee with commissioners? That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any bocce ball courts now, so I mean, I think that would be an idea that would give us a different offering from what we already have.
From
currently.
what I've seen from Ty, it is pretty neat to watch. I mean, never played it again, but
Even Jennifer Vigil, who recently came and spoke before the commission, thought it was a great idea when I talked to her about it a couple of years ago. It's a sport that's growing in popularity. It's low impact, can be played by all ages, but more importantly, it's something that's very popular with seniors and adults for social gathering.
Well,
just to sit
obviously,
around and
because
play.
Chris doesn't know what bocce ball is.
Yeah, yeah. He's a young buck. But I think it's something to consider. I'm not necessarily sold just on bocce, but if you look at Sheffield, we have playgrounds, but nothing for adults. You have Kinsall, a playground, nothing for adults. Porter, 2 playgrounds, nothing for. When you start seeing the trend, we have 6, 7, 8 playgrounds, but really don't have anything recreationally for adults, especially our seniors. And I think this would be a good opportunity. Not to mention, when you look at the big, large space that we have at Kinsall that really hasn't even reached its potential yet, I think this is something we can build on. And I saw that pickleball was included in that packet. I would maybe not consider that. It's so close to the neighborhood. I think we'll have some of the same problems that James E. Rogers that we're talking about,
Right.
close to residents.
So your recommendation is bocce. Start with bocce.
Well,
this is just a beginning of
Right.
hopefully other stuff.
My need right now is for additional pavilion space. I happened to go to Porter a couple of weeks ago, and there were 2 families arguing where I had to threaten to call PD out there. Both had a 4 and a 6-year-old wanting to have birthday parties, and there was not enough table space under the pavilion. That is our greatest need. The reason everybody wants to go to Porter, we have 3 pavilions that have at least 3 picnic tables under each so you can hold a party. Ample parking, clean restrooms, and playgrounds. We don't have that at another park. So I think that's a good location. We have ample parking at Kinsall, clean restrooms, and a playground. If we were to put in a pavilion with at least 6 to 9 tables, it would take some of the pressure off of Porter. That's the immediate need. The second need is to go ahead and add, in my opinion, I think bocce would be extremely popular.
Well, we need to do something because if we're paying for the splash pad to be there, not even being utilized.
Well, you know, and I said earlier not to make a decision on anything today, but we would like some direction. We can demo the existing splash pad there, either in-house, or Bobby had gotten some quotes. I believe it was $8,000 to $10,000 was the quotes he got several months back. But if that's, regardless, it's going to have to be demoed. and it would make sense to go ahead and move forward with that and get it off the schedule of values.
Is that something we need to vote on specifically, or just?
I would
sort of
not
give
want
some
you to vote
consensus?
today, but if that's something, I mean, you all don't even have to vote on that. It's just kind of some general
So you
consensus
just
of
need some
directing staff.
consensus on that.
Yes.
How's everybody feeling about moving forward with demoing?
Well, it sounds like regardless of, even if a new splash pad was built to no splash pad being built, it's got to be demoed regardless. And so, I mean, and we're paying if it's not demoed. So by demoing it, we're ultimately saving money while we decide what path we want to take anyways. So
We just didn't want to move forward with the demo and then all 5 of our commissioners strap themselves to it and in protest to protect it. So we wanna,
No, not at all. Not at all. Pat, you for the demo? All right.
wait, don't demo it is what you're saying?
We know what we're going to do for sure.
Has to be demoed regardless of what you put there.
Can I interject without interrupting? If we demo it right now, we're going to have to clean that site up and sod it with the playground and picnic pavilion so close, the existing pavilion or concession. I think that opens us up to liability if we don't sod it. Well, that,
Yeah, we will definitely make it, demo it, sod it, have an open area there in the meantime of deciding what to do.
I mean, is there a scenario where you don't demo it? I don't think there's a scenario where you
No,
don't.
sir.
It has to be demoed, period. Period.
All right. So that's for demo.
I'm emotionally attached to this project at Kinsall. I agree with what Jamie's saying as far as if it has to be demoed, it does. But I was there when they voted that in, and we sat in a meeting, and the mayor then raised the funds for all that. It was thousands and thousands of dollars. And then after they approved it, and the main reason for that was so that the children on the west side of 77 could ride their bikes to Kinsall, where they couldn't do that and get over here. And then after that was approved, then Michael White stepped in and did the one over here at Kane Griffin after the Kinsall had been approved and everything. And Chris Forehand just left, but he was involved in the Kinsall too.
even if the commission chooses to rebuild that existing splash pad, it has to be demolished down to the ground and rebuilt up again. So it has to be demolished one way or another, even if it's being rebuilt.
Between the two splash pads, the city has spent $400,000 in construction costs.
Has spent what?
$400,000
I thought it
On
was
what?
between the two splash pads.
But what have they
More than
spent it
that.
on?
Yeah,
Construction.
I thought it was more than that.
Or my memory tells me 400, and
Well-
I can confirm that.
I'm saying I thought the Kinsall itself was about 400. So
Both
I'm
of them?
pulling
or-
this from memory. I don't
Got
have
it.
my computer in front of me, but $400,000 is what my memory tells me between the two combined.
I remember when they
between the two
constructed,
splash-
from my understanding, when they constructed both of them, then after Hurricane Michael, I think they expanded the one at King Griffin.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember how much that was, but
I
I
wanna
want to
s-
say it was about 600, 700,000.
It was like 300,000 to build the one at Kane Griffin, I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bashir?
I'm sorry, but I believe the amount raised was $2,500 by Margot. It wasn't thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for that. There may have been some donated at some point, but it doesn't show in the minutes. Just like the vote for that splash pad does not show in the minutes. When you go back all the way back and read through, it just appeared on the budget. But that said, if you demolish it, if you go, I've never played Buckyball, but if you go with Buckyball, if we see it's not used, the demo and repurposing it for something else in the future is a lot less than what we're talking about with the splash pad. If you build a pavilion there and it's not used, the demolition is a lot greater. I think we minimize our risk by doing Buckyball there now. And if it's not used or the citizens decide they want something else, moving forward with something else would be a lot easier than it would be if you do, say, a pickleball court or something like that. And you're not pouring concrete. If the water rises, it just seeps up through it. Just food for thought.
All right, so I'm for the demo. All right.
We'll look at our budget and see. And then the next one under parks is the sports park multi-use field. So that is to wrap up our construction there at the sports complex. And Justin can speak on, I mean, Justin is probably one of the only department heads that people have nothing but positive to say, because everything is positive with kids playing baseball, football, flag football, soccer. So we don't get to experience all the fun stuff that Justin gets to do. But to finish up the sports complex there and put some multi-use fields, there's a couple options here in your packet. This one is 2 of the multi-use fields with, I believe, Justin, that was a AA field addition that we would build. And then the other one was 3 multi-use fields across the bottom there. That is something that we are going to figure out some way, somehow, to get into the next year's budget and at least get some multi-use fields going, so that we can expand the football program, get them off Kinsall all the time, maybe open up some soccer programs. I'm sure that Justin can talk more about the different programs that would be there. But somehow, some way, that is our intent in the fiscal year 27 budget to get those in there. It's just on your screen there. The plans are over there too.
All right, Chris, what did you ask?
Just about the different programs that can be utilized if those fields were built and what the benefit is.
Yeah, so the multi-purpose fields, obviously, has been my most consistent ask. We just have outgrown all the green space in Lynn Haven. Currently, we have grown to our flag football league. We have about 450 participants, and about a third of those are actually practicing on the baseball fields at the sports complex. We do not have space for them right now within our leagues. We also get frequent calls about soccer program. We know there are a lot of Lynn Haven residents that are traveling to Callaway, traveling to Harders just to play soccer. We also get calls about lacrosse. These are all key programs that we would love to get off the ground. So again, I'm asking if we could take a look at phase 4 of the sports complex.
So these two, the mayor and I, when we met with Representative Griffiths, it is very hard to get any type of funding for a park like this. There's also very few grants that have enough money in the grant to cover the entire construction costs. So it is very likely that it's going to be something that we pay for out of pocket. But again, it's something that will be a huge benefit to the citizens of Lynn Haven.
One last thing, Commission. I know we always talk about growth. We're going to have to start capping our leagues. There's no room for growth. We do not have the facility. So incoming residents, we're going to have to really look at what we're doing here.
So you're doing too good of a job, is what you're saying?
So
Are they all Lynn Haven residents in your leagues?
No.
Yeah, is there any possible way to give Lynn Haven residents priority? Like they're guaranteed a certain amount of slots, and then
Right.
I mean, yes, but if you wait until the last day to sign up,
yeah,
everybody procrastinates.
yeah.
But if you have a cap, I mean, Lynn Haven residents should.
We thought about doing registration for only Lynn Haven residents probably 2 weeks prior to, and we open it up for everyone else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would get rid of the
That would
whole
give them
last
a
day thing.
priority
Yeah.
and make sure you had a window for, and then when you opened it up, it's Lynn Haven residents still could, but it's you falling in line.
And it's on you, mom or dad.
Yeah.
but now I hear you saying cap the leagues, but aren't we capping them now?
We had to cap volleyball.
And when I say aren't we capping them now, like, isn't there a point where we say, hey, we can't take any more registration or we can't take any more?
Yeah, we do that according to coaches also. So once we get
Okay.
towards the end, if we don't have the coaches to, obviously accommodate the teams, we will cap it.
Okay.
But if you had enough kids sign up for 3 extra teams and then you had 6 people say they would coach, you would open up right now and let those teams join, right?
My job. Can I tell you, it's my job. The last number I heard for the football fields was $3 million. That's a 4-year-old number, and the majority of that money was for the parking lot. 4-year-old number for $3 million.
That number is true. However, if we plan to do this next fiscal year and start this process, we would probably take the parking out of it. We would do the fields. We would utilize existing right now, just like before the hurricane. If you remember, before the hurricane, people would use these fields for football and soccer practice. They would just pull right up there, sit on the tailgate of the truck and watch the practice. So the parking will be one of the last phases we do.
Exactly what I was going to say. I grew up, they never parked out there. We never had parking. Everybody parked on the side. We can scratch the parking.
What about lights?
I believe the lights were about $800,000, just going out of memory. But I believe they were like an $800,000 line item total.
Tell them to play in the daytime.
And that is something that we could do, especially if we get them build the fields at first, and then have Saturday daytime games only for the beginning until we can get the lights in. But definitely want to start the process and get the ball rolling to get that going.
Like the Cubs, just like the
We've all
Cubs.
seen the Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they'll come.
Oh, that's unfortunately what's happened in Glen Haven. We built it and now they've came.
Wrigley Field never had lights until
Also,
the 80s.
a talking point that I did not put in here is looking at the option of possibly converting all of our infields at both the sports complex and Kane to turf infields. A couple different reasons why. One, staffing. It's taken, I think, about 7 or 8 hours right now for Justin's staff to prep fields for ball games. That would eliminate that. It would just where they have to go move the bases for the appropriate divisions to play, as well as it would open the door, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it would open the door for tournaments to come in, and we could generate some more revenue that they would play on that. I believe USFA had said they would play softball tournaments if we converted our infields to turf.
It would definitely open up additional revenue. After this last rain, the sports complex fields we were not able to use those fields for 2 days.
Go ahead.
We were not able to use those fields for 2 days. So that takes away games that we had scheduled for those days. So having turf, we would be able to basically play 30 minutes after a hard rain.
So recently I went to a soccer game that was on turf, and one of the concerns the parents had about playing on the turf was injury.
Right.
Of course, we see injury with pros playing on turf in football. And so what is the likelihood of increasing injury for playing on turf in field? And then what is the liability if someone gets injured on our turf, knowing that they could?
I don't have that in front of me, but I would say the liability would be the same if they tripped on the clay, right? Still in our facility.
And I will add to that, Mayor. So the multi-use fields would be grass. It's just the infields of the baseball, softball fields that we were looking at converting to turf. The city of Dothan, the sports complex, I can't remember the name. Right when you get into Dothan, you take a left there beside Walmart.
Probably Westgate.
That
Yeah.
huge baseball, softball complex. They recently did that to a number of their fields, converted infields only to turf. The outfields are grass. The Daphne Sports Complex, they've done the same thing. They host a ton of tournaments there a year, and it is a huge generator for more stuff to be there.
Pretty much the standard now going around the country. Everybody's
Hot ground balls.
The infields.
Like I said, just asking about the injury, because on clay, there isn't data that says I'm prone to get injured on clay, whereas there's data that I'm prone to get injured on turf. That's what I'm saying. Like there's data to say I'm prone to tear ACL, MCL, et cetera, on turf historically, whereas on clay, there isn't that data that's been studied. It's probably there, but not as prone to it.
We could also reach out to the company at the public sports complex and see what their claims have been since they've been open, because all of their fields are turf. I do know that for the athlete that's playing, they would much rather play on clay than turf. However, everyone seems to be converting to that nowadays.
Okay.
Do we know if the turf covers the base path?
Yes, sir. It's the entire infield, and then the very outside edge line where the outfield and infield meet. That is your grass to turf line, but it is turf from dugouts all the way forward.
Okay.
And the foul lines.
Yes,
With
and the
that,
foul
we
lines.
would never have to chalk another foul line.
Okay.
So that's where you save all the cost.
Yeah, I think
Is the turf? But there's clay where you slide, right?
No, all of that
all
will be
that's
turf. The only thing that will be
Jesus.
grass is the outfield.
Yep.
So what is this? How? Okay, I'll look up some stuff. I'm just wondering, like sliding on turf. Like what is that like?
Same.
it can't be the same as sliding on dirt.
No,
Sliding
they
on
have
turf.
clay pads
There
around
it
the
goes back
bases, right?
to how these kids are getting to school. We got to start toughening them up a little bit. So they're gonna have to slide on this turf.
Raspberries.
Can we meet after this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can. I mean, I'm just looking at professional athletes and the injuries they get from playing on turf. I mean, anybody that watches football, the increase of injuries from playing on turf has been astronomical versus playing on grass. So that's all. A 10-year-old tears the ACL because they're playing on turf. So we might say it may not be possible, but we can talk about it afterwards. I wouldn't put my kid out there sliding on turf.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's me. I mean, obviously, it's a popular thing. People are doing it, or cities are doing it to save money, but then also looking at what's the possibility there. So, all right, but yeah, let's chat afterwards.
I think we just need a business analyst analyze it so that we know how much money we're saving doing turf as opposed to maintaining ourselves.
Right. So we would look at the labor that we would save from not having to do the field dressing prior to the games, as well as the liability that's out there and the claims that are potential, as well as canceling events. If we were to have a whole tournament come in and then it rained over the weekend, they couldn't play and we had to cancel, would we have to pay that revenue back, and what other revenue we could bring in?
I think we need to know those numbers before we can make a decision.
Yes, sir.
I would be remiss, and I'm not saying not to consider all of these plans for our community, but as you grow, you're going to have to grow in staff as well. Justin is already understaffed for the current capacity, and we're trying to get real creative on how to cover all the different games that he has going on. Now, it's my understanding that turf could actually lessen the amount of staff work because of the drying out of fields, so there's a counter to that. But just as we add fields, we're going to have to look at the personnel impact as well.
So, Mayor, that's all I have for capital improvement projects, unless there's anything that anyone else wanted to discuss. But moving on to kind of the second phase of today was to discuss the ULDC. Gonna ask Ms. Boyer if she would come up to the mic and kind of give some talking points there, and then kind of ask for some direction from you all. Again, not necessarily to have to decide today, but in the coming months of, hey, how do you want us to proceed with moving forward in the budget and goals?
Morning. So the way our ULDC now, we do not have separate zoning regulations. It's a little unusual compared to what you see in most municipalities, but typically with your comp plan, you will have your future land use map. Like comp plans are visionary. So they are what kind of sets you to how you want to see 10, 20 years into the future, what you want things to be. When it comes to like future land use maps, there's usually a broad umbrella where you're saying, we want these areas as residential or commercial or industrial or recreational or whatever the use may be. And then what you will typically see then is your zoning ordinances that narrow and define that vision. So while your comprehensive plan and your future land use map may say, we want this areas to be residential, when you get down into the zoning ordinance, you get that extra layer. So then we're talking densities, you're talking low density, medium density, high density, however you choose to define them. We kind of have that now, and I know there's been a lot of talk going back and forth on do we need zoning or not. Zoning is what sets those districts. It defines the uses. It sets parameters such as setbacks, total impervious surface area. We have that now to a point. So if we look at our future land use map and we say this area is low density residential, we have what uses are permitted in that district area. We have what the setbacks are, any special requirements, what the parking regulations are, If you're talking maybe non-residential uses, is there signage permitted? Things like that. Zoning would kind of expand on that. I guess what we're looking for is some direction or thought on how we want to see the city moving forward. Do we want to keep the ULDC regulations sort of as they are and go after that future land use map where we do see some areas that are not maybe as a cohesive district as it could be, and we can certainly update those. The language does need to be updated. Some of it is starting to become antiquated, so we want to keep moving forward. Whether it's zoning or in the ULDC, they're always living documents. You want to keep refreshing them to stay current and relevant, along with keeping with the vision of the city. So there's definitely updates that need to be made, even general housekeeping stuff, like some of the uses are not clearly defined in our current regulations. Those are what I like to call the minor easy things that you can fix. The other sort of update we want to do, and I've had some discussions with Ben, and we're continuing to have those discussions. But when we talk about the CRA district and specifically Florida Avenue, the city has spent time and money to put together sort of this master plan and support the CRA and support the redevelopment of Florida Avenue. But yet our ULDC has some contradictions that make that a little more challenging to carry out that vision. So we would obviously want to take what I call those more core updates and make sure that they're matching, and we want to combine everything into almost like a marriage so that they support one another. So it's kind of, because this conversation has come up about creating separate zoning, which we can still keep within the ULDC. It can be a combination of like your stormwater, your subdivision, your land development regulations, but calling them out as almost like separate chapters. We can certainly take that route, or we can kind of keep with the status quo and do minor updates. And that's where we're looking at some policy direction from this board to say, what do you want to do, and how do you want to see certain changes made? Are there issues that we need to specifically address with those updates? I know the other issue that has been brought up is whether we hire a consultant to do this work. That is going to cost money. It's, whether you do it in-house with staff or you hire the consultant, there's always time and money. But consultants can get pricey. There can be a collaboration of staff does some part, the consultant does some part, and that can save you some upfront costs. But it depends on timing of everything. We also do not have GIS to create our own zoning, so we coordinate with Bay County right now. I don't know if that's something this board has thought about bringing in-house or not, or we can continue to collaborate with Bay County. But as we go through and do updates to our maps, that will also cost money as well, working with Bay County. So those are figures we can work in, or is it easier to bring in-house? But if we also do zoning, then we're talking having a zoning officer or zoning administrator on staff. So I think Kiki and Jennifer have talked multiple times about consider staffing options as you go along with improvements for the city. So that's another item to keep in mind. I think everything we do can affect staff time and staffing needs. So that's something we can talk about as well. But where's our starting point is what we want to gauge at this time.
All right, I know we've sort of discussed this a few times before as it relates to that. And I think we had turned in maybe some priorities previously. I don't know if we still have record of that, where we asked commissioners to turn in some areas of priority that we wanted to look at in the ULDC. So I think previously what we discussed was identifying the priorities as opposed to sort of a chapter by chapter approach, but looking at the priorities that we've heard from the citizens over the years, and identifying those in the ULDC initially, and then sort of working from there. I think that's what we discussed previously, is how we wanted to approach the ULDC was with that approach. So is that what you're asking us? Is that the feedback you're looking for from us now? Is what are the priorities we want to see us discuss in the ULDC?
So not necessarily priorities of the ULDC, but priorities of how we get there. Is it something that you all want us to look at bringing in our goals and budget sessions of having someone come in to do it? Is it something we want to do in-house? How much, do we want to complete revamp, or do we want to just add a few small things here and there? Do we want to have public workshops and charrettes or something like that to bring in the public? And just kind of, I guess, to what extreme do you all want to go down?
I think previously from the conversations we've had over the past couple of years about it, the idea was that we would tackle it in-house, in that staff would be, give us guidance and parameters, but then we as a, commission would sort of move forward with tackling that from an in-house perspective.
I was going to say something.
Yeah,
if you're
go
done.
ahead.
The whole idea of zoning and all of that is very intriguing to me, and I'll tell you why. I have gotten calls about people who live in beautiful neighborhoods, well-kept neighborhoods, and they go, I have a business here next door to me, and I have a business across the street. And I try never to speak before I check it out, but I was, well, how can that be? Sure enough, I went there. There are businesses that are registered as businesses in this beautiful neighborhood. And I don't get is that a product of lack of zoning, or how did they even get a business license?
Well, I guess the first question is we'd have to know where to know what district they're in, because if you take something like our mixed use district, that allows for both residential and non-residential uses. So
right, this is definitely
you could be dealing with different things. So you could be dealing with something that's grandfathered in, meaning it was there prior to the current regulations and allowed to continue. It could be that it is a permitted use based on our current land use districts and what we allow use-wise. It could be those businesses in the residential neighborhoods are actually home occupation type businesses, which are typically permitted with some sort of parameter. You have impact-based businesses and you have no impact home-based businesses. So your no impacts are someone like our attorney who maybe does work and has a dedicated office space, but doesn't see clients. They just have their business address there, but they're going off-site to conduct their job otherwise.
Yeah.
Your impact-based businesses, if you think about a person who owns like a hair salon, you typically have a client base that comes in. They might have a chair in one of their residual bedrooms or office space or something that they've converted into a salon studio. And so you have a client or two coming in to get their hair done or get their nails done, whatever it may be. Those are impact-based businesses where you have additional traffic that could accumulate into that business. So it may be something, if you have specifics and addresses and areas, we can look at that. It could also be an issue that is a violation that we need to get code enforcement involved in. I don't know. I mean, there's multiple scenarios that could occur here.
Yeah, this one, code enforcement did go out on.
Oh, okay.
So I need to follow up with that. You know what
Ben?
Get together just to make sure.
Okay, yeah.
Regarding the changes to the ULDC, I would recommend housekeeping items, small changes, I believe could be done in-house. But if it's really about updating each chapter, my recommendation really would be to go with an outside consultant and to take a look at this. And I understand it will cost some money, but at the same time, we all know the ULDC, this is a very important document. And all of our argumentation, all of the justification why we decided as a city to go in this direction with this development and not that direction, all of this is based on the ULDC. So if we want to make some changes to this, if we want to get it from the 1990s standard up to the, next century, then I would suggest to hire a consultant that has done that before. I'm not questioning Ms. Boyer's or Ms. Harrison's qualifications, but I think that's something, you guys are experts really, but I think sometimes it's worth the money to go to outsource this kind of service and to have somebody take a look at this document that is not directly connected to the city.
And I think that is the concern, though, with the consultant, is that they're not directly connected to the city. So though they may update and be more akin to what's happening in other municipalities, what we've experienced with the ULDC has been from the experiences that we've had with this commission and previous commissions. And I guess the question would we be able to provide that type of input and give direction to the consultant, because they can update it to make it 2025, but does that still fit Lynn Haven for 2025? Because we have different issues that we've ran into over the years based on the ULDC that consultant may not be aware of, that we're trying to address in the ULDC.
I think a good consultant is just like a good physician. That physician is asking the right questions, and based on that experience, the knowledge that person brings to the table. Lynn Haven is special, but it's not special either. There are a lot of small communities like Lynn Haven in the southeastern United States, and a lot of these communities are facing the same challenges.
The public workshops and input is key to whatever that consultant does too. If we bring a consultant on board, I would encourage a workshop 3 or 4 times before we even get a final product, just to hear the input from not only the commission, but the public.
And to Commissioner Tender's point regarding the zoning, do we recall what the response was for zoning on the referendum? Was it no to zoning on the referendum?
I believe it was no.
Or was it, I know we put a dollar amount on there if it costs a certain amount, and I think some people voted against the dollar amount.
The wording on that was,
It just said it would cost a lot of money, basically.
Yeah.
So
I think
if we did want to go to zoning, my suggestion would be that we would put it on the ballot again with spending more time promoting zoning and get closer to an actual number, and see if maybe, I don't know, because it would look really bad because I'm very pro zoning, but I don't want to go against what the public voted on.
Right.
So I think maybe we could do it again and, I don't know, take more time promoting.
And it may be where we have a consultant and do the public workshops before it's voted on again, if it's voted on again. That way there's a 6 to 12 month educational cycle before people decide.
Now, with the consultant, are there estimates on what a consultant will cost to do this?
I mean, we have not reached out to any consultants at this time. Working with consultants in the past, probably for a city of this size, I mean, you could be looking, I'd say the 70 to 100,000.
we had a guy come in from Florida State, remember, who talked to us. We did a workshop with him.
Yeah.
The planning, the development guy. If I don't know, I forget his name, but he was at FSU Panama City, and he came and talked to
I think it
us.
was Dr. Chappie.
I don't know. I can't remember his name, but I remember specifically. I mean, I talked to him after. He said, "What we need is a zoning map, and not a zoning department, a zoning map. We have the land use stuff, and you could do so many different things in a land use, but did we already have so many townhouses within the area for our land use? Do we already have so many type of restaurants or convenience stores or gas stations, and then you got a corner and we put another one there, it just doesn't make sense. So if we had a zoning map, or if we had like, hey, you can only put 4 of them here, and we got 4 of them already, you know what I mean? So we could rule out certain types of development and whatnot. I think that's the whole type of the overlay of what we intend to do, to try to do developing right within the city of Lynn Haven. I think that's my view of it as far as what we need. We don't specifically have a numbers or a moratorium on certain things that people have a right to develop their land. They're going to come in and develop it, but it's more. It may be more of what we don't need than more of what we need. So, I mean, that's what I got out of it when that guy came, and that's what I think would be the best thing for us as far as, set up a map and have a count. Okay, have the land uses, but you can only have one of this. You can only have 2 of this or whatever. I don't know if that's constitutionally right or not, but I mean, those are my feelings. I hate to stop and just say them, but I've been sitting here pulling my hair out wanting to say something. So
No, I think, yeah, I know we've talked about that before, putting a zoning map out. And I guess before it was estimated it'd be 300,000 to create a zoning map. So help me understand, why does it, I'm not saying that's not the cost, but why does it cost 300,000 to look at our city to say, this is going to be here, this is going to be here, this can't be there? I mean, to me,
we already have the land use, and you could do so many different things on it, but we haven't put a number or a cap on how many of those things you could do. You know what I mean? So if something's already done there, you may not need another one. Like
Gotcha.
CVS and Walgreens, they're gonna take 2 corners at 389, and the gas stations are gonna take the other 2 corners.
So from what I'm hearing is, it would be worth us to reach out to a consultant, get some more in-depth proposals with some numbers on them, versus just throwing some numbers out there of 300 grand or 70 grand or 100 grand, and then hearing back before you all were to make a decision. You're not opposed to a consultant, but want to hear a concrete proposal.
yes, and some more numbers on what zoning looks like. Yeah.
And of course, with all the money,
Ben, is that kind of what? I mean, you're an EDA guy, you're a CRA guy. I mean, do you like that idea, or do we need 10 more gas stations in Lynn Haven? I mean, that's what
those
zoning.
are 2 separate issues, but to answer your first question, I don't like the idea of a zoning map. And let me give you an example. This is just my personal opinion. Future land use map says this property is zoned residential. The zoning map will talk about the same property and will specify whether it's R1, R2, R3, residential category 1, residential category 2 or 3. And it may change the number of dwelling units you can build on that residential property. For me, this is just an additional layer of bureaucracy that we're adding to the existing land development code. Again, this is my personal opinion. Does this make my economic development world easier? No. We're just adding more complexity to it, which in simple terms makes things more difficult. You have to get more consultants involved in this, not only on the city side, but also on the developer side. And I don't think that our system is failing right now, that there's a need to fix something.
So, for example, as a citizen, if I can't just I can look at our ULDC, but there's been numerous times I've had to call staff because a citizen calls me because we don't have zoning. Right. Now, I definitely understand what you're saying about the bureaucracy part. So I guess it's, how do we, as Commissioner Tender said, determine what can be built here, what can't be built here? If we're talking about the growth of the city, if we're talking about, quality growth, are we wanting to create certain districts where this is our commercial district, this is our industrial district? Are we wanting to create that, or what we have right now, just a hodgepodge? So part of the challenge of us growing Florida Avenue is that it's not zoned for anything specifically. So it's zoned, but Florida Avenue is a hodgepodge. We can't compare Florida Avenue to Harrison Avenue, because when I go down Harrison Avenue, I don't go to a doctor's office. I don't go to a dentist's office. I don't go to Ace Hardware, right? So right now we have a hodgepodge, and that's fine if that's the community we want to continue to develop without zoning. So that's what I see with the zoning, is that it gives us more direction on where we want our city to grow as it relates to real estate. And I'm just speaking as a citizen. The R1, R2, R3 makes it easier for me as a citizen to know this is what my property is. I know what my property is. If I'm buying this property, I know exactly what my property is. And I don't have to go through trying to get an interpretation from the department on what is this, what can I do, what can I not do on this property, because it's already lined out when I look at the R2, R1, R2, R3, or the other different qualifications. Is this institutional? Is it this? Is it that? Then it gives me, it's already laid out as to what it is if I'm looking at purchasing that property or looking at that property. So in talking with people about properties in Panama City versus talking with people about properties in Lynn Haven, I can give more clear direction to people when I'm talking with them about properties in Panama City, because there is zoning there, versus when I'm talking with people about properties in Lynn Haven, it's like, I don't know, we're going to have to call to get more information on, well, what is the parking density? What is this density? What is that availability? So, I mean, I see the pros and cons for both on that. So,
Yeah, so some of that, I mean, we do, in a sense, have that now. So when you look at a property in Lynn Haven, you have a land use district that is assigned to that property, and you can go into the ULDC and determine what uses are permitted, what are the parking requirements, what is your total impervious surface if you have a house and you want to build an addition. Some of that you talk about not being able to comprehend, people have trouble deciphering what the codes are. Some of that is just making the code itself more user-friendly, so that, one, we have to be able to understand the code as staff and as commission to relay that information to residents. But then there's also that second component that every resident should be able to look up that information and understand what it is they're reading. That doesn't always happen. And I realize codes, I mean, across the country can sometimes be very convoluted, that you're just like, this makes no sense. I need to call into the department. And some of that is maybe too updating our website and making that information more accessible. You can create like cheat sheets and quick sheets and stuff like that to say, hey, I live in the low density residential district, the high density residential district. Here's what that's about. What's the intent? What's the purpose of that district? What can I do on my property with that? That's just making things more, as I say, just user friendly, so that you can just quickly look up the information and hopefully be able to decipher it on your own and say, I'm thinking about doing this project at my property. What do I need to know before I get started? And then I can go to my architect or my engineer or my contractor and say, this is what I want to do. The city says this is permissible. The contractor can even verify and hey, we're all on agreement. So I think that's kind of an additional step of going forward, is making things more user-friendly, and especially as just coming into the city, some of the code and the language, I've had to ask, what does this mean? And we shouldn't have to ask that. It should be a little more clear and concise. So those would be updates that we would make regardless of whether we're doing zoning. And it's a good point to have because that often gets overlooked when you create these codes and you need all this special legal language, and we forget that who's actually reading it. It's not always the staff that deal with it on a day-to-day basis and know it inside and out, but it's our residents, it's the contractors, developers, everyone that also needs to understand it. So whether, and like Ben said, whether you hire a consultant or not, that's going to be something that they look at as well. And even if it's making charts and graphs to make it more user-friendly, that can go a long way visually of just being able to easily see how to interpret the code.
Do we have a section in our city website for building codes and things of that nature?
We have our ordinances. We do have links to like the ULDC. I think one thing we probably need to step up for the mapping, because our mapping goes out of Bay County. I know I've taken plenty of phone calls that say, you have to go to Bay County's website to look at this, or you have to go to FEMA to see if your property is in a flood zone area.
Right.
Even so much as just the communication of providing those links online, say, you know, I need to know more information about my property. Where do I need to go for it?
I like the cheat sheet idea. I like the get some clear, understandable verbiage for the common person. I have people call me, residents call me, and they go, they want $500 for an elevation inspection. But then when we go to Lynn Haven, get the inspection, they say, no, that comes from Bay County. Then I call Bay County for my neighbor. They go, no, that's Lynn Haven. And I'm going, I don't even know what to tell her. But I know we're in the flood zone. So I said, your insurance should have already done that in order for you to be paying for flood insurance, you know. So you have to kind of dissect it all to help them. But the one thing that I've always been clear on, not where it is, but I've always been clear on, CRA is different than anything else. And of course, Florida Avenue speaks to that with all the different things that are going on over there.
Right. And in our current ULDC, we have a CRA overlay district. It's a matter of, I think it was Ben and I have talked about just sort of updating that overlay district and making sure that everything that he's trying to do and what the city's trying to do with this master plan are cohesive with our ordinances, so that you're not getting additional restrictions and pushback for some of these developers that come in with a vision of, I'd like to buy these properties, I'd like to develop them in a certain way, but the hindrance is maybe there's too much parking requirements, there's too much of a setback, or maybe the use just isn't even permitted, and we need to encourage that use comes to that specific area, to Florida Avenue only. Encourage that and support that type of development. So those are all things that we get to look at. And even if you do hire a consultant, those are the things that there's unique personality things of the city that any consultant can go in and have a template of standards and kind of put together an ordinance. But ordinances are not one size fits all. Ben talked about we're special and we're not special. There's no one size fits all approach. Now, you could probably maybe get 80% of there that says these are common standards that apply across the country for cities of this size or unique situations. But then we're always going to have that special part that says, this doesn't apply to Lynn Haven. We need this or that. And that's where that communication comes in. The consultant isn't going to just hand you a book and then walk away, or at least they shouldn't if they're good.
You're going to have to give them the information.
And staff are going to be involved in that. We're going to have a lot of discussion. The commission is going to be involved in that. The planning commission is going to be involved in that. The citizens are going to be involved in that, to say, no, this is not what we want. We want XYZ instead of ABC. And what the consultant delivers you first is a draft. It's not a end all be all situation. It's you can amend it. So that's where we get that first initial draft, and then you start amending it to kind of fit the mold. And consultants will come in and meet with you and come to the city and learn what makes the city special, so they can incorporate that hopefully into their first draft. And it's a good start of a working document to take out and have the outreach with residents to say, what do you think? What looks good? What doesn't look good? What do we need to change? What are we missing? Things like that. And then hopefully at the end, we get this great document that everyone can read, and then the mayor doesn't have to call us, because he'll just be able to go in, help a constituent and say, you can do this, 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 and this, and move on. Or the resident themselves can look it up, even better yet, and say, hey, this is what I can do.
I do
And then
my
if
share
we
of
have
calling
those
in, too.
additional
Yeah.
conversations, they call the staff and we work through, more things. But that initial, what can I or can't do, that's where you should be with any ordinance. Just go on, look, and know.
Awesome. So, yeah, you captured all that.
I didn't, but Miss Rushing did.
All right. Awesome. So, thank
We have
you.
notes.
And again, welcome to the team. So, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir. Just thank you all for your time today. This is just kind of needed your time for a couple of hours to go over what's on the radar and kind of get some ideas planted for our budget and goals workshops coming up in February. You all take all your material today. If you have any questions from it, don't hesitate to reach out with questions. Kind of give you an idea of where we're heading with our budget for fiscal year 27.
So, the only question I have is, did you bring lunch?
I did not. I hear there are a couple good restaurants very close by, though.
All right.
Just before you adjourn.
Oh, yes, sir.
I wanted to apologize to Mrs. Tender. I looked up the donations for the splash pad were $4,855, according to city records. For the splash pads. That was the contributions, private contributions for the splash pads listed in the 2018 budget at showing $4,855 coming in for the donations to the splash pad.
All right. Thank you for that.